The Echoes Inside Her Mind, extended version. Chapter 1. The Apartment. Elena Moore stepped into her new apartment with a sense of cautious hope. The city hummed outside, its lights reflecting off the modern glass buildings surrounding her street. Yet the street itself seemed unnaturally quiet, as though the urban noise stopped at the building's edge. Her new home was perfect, at least on paper. A modern 14th floor apartment with wide windows, gleaming floors, and stainless steel appliances. She had left behind a stressful job, an exhausting relationship, and a life she barely recognized. Finally, she thought she could breathe. But the moment she set foot inside, she felt a subtle unease. There was a strange chill in the hallway, and the elevator seemed to hum with an odd vibration. Then she noticed it, a mirror in the corner of the hallway. Unlike the modern decor, it was old, with a bronze frame chipped in several places. The landlord had mentioned it casually. "It's part of the apartment," he had said, his smile faintly uneasy. Elena had shrugged. Mirrors were mirrors. That night, as she unpacked boxes in her bedroom, a whisper drifted through the apartment. "Elena!" She froze, her hand hovering over a box. The voice was soft, almost imperceptible, distant and hollow. "Who's there?" she called, though her voice sounded weak in the empty space. Nothing answered. Only the mirror seemed darker, more reflective than before. For a brief moment, she thought her own reflection blinked a fraction too late. A trick of the light, she told herself. By the second night, Elena began noticing other small, unsettling things. Objects in the apartment would shift slightly. A chair not quite where she left it, a book open to a page she didn't remember touching. She tried to dismiss it, convincing herself she was just tired. But sleep brought no comfort. At exactly 3:07 a.m., her dreams would twist into a maze of shadowed hallways and flickering lights. She would wake with the same whisper in her ears, "Why did you come back?" And when she looked in the mirror, the reflection didn't always match her movements. Sometimes, just for a second, the reflection would smile when she did not. Chapter 2. The Sleepless Hours. Elena's days blurred into nights. She stopped going out as often, afraid of what might follow her back to the apartment. She began keeping a journal, trying to make sense of what she saw. "I must be imagining it," she wrote one morning, her handwriting shaky. "No one else can see this. I'm alone. It's all in my head." Yet her reflection refused to cooperate. Some nights it lingered a moment too long after she moved. Some nights it whispered, words she couldn't quite hear. She started recording the apartment with her phone, leaving it on the nightstand. Every morning the files were corrupted. Static. Whispers, then silence. One evening a neighbor knocked on her door. "You okay?" asked Julia, a friendly woman from down the hall. Elena forced a smile. "Yes, just tired from work." "You look exhausted. Maybe you should take a day off," Julia suggested. Elena nodded, but later, alone in her apartment, she realized she hadn't gone to work in 3 days. The calendar on her wall reminded her, with red circles marking the passing days, days she didn't remember. The mirror became unbearable. Elena tried covering it with a white sheet, a flimsy attempt to regain control. For a while, it seemed to work. The apartment felt quieter, safer, until midnight. A tearing sound jolted her awake. The sheet had been ripped off, crumpled on the floor. The mirror was fully visible again. And behind her in the reflection, a shadowy figure stood. She spun around, empty. Her reflection, however, had its mouth open in a silent scream, tilting its head unnaturally. "You can't escape," it whispered, though the lips did not move. Elena's heart pounded. She realized she hadn't truly been alone in the apartment for nights. Maybe she never would be. Chapter 3. Descending Madness. By the third week, Elena's life had become unrecognizable. The city outside carried on as usual, oblivious to her suffering. She stopped calling her family. The idea of explaining the whispers and the shadowed reflections seemed impossible. Her apartment, once a sanctuary, had become a labyrinth of fear. She spoke to herself constantly, asking questions to test her mind. Am I losing it? Is this real? The whispering answered every night, "It's real. It's always been real." She decided to act. Elena called the building manager and asked for help, but when he arrived, his eyes flicked to the mirror with an expression she couldn't read. "Some things," he began slowly, "don't belong anywhere. I need it removed," Elena insisted. He shrugged, refusing to touch it. Determined, Elena wrapped the mirror in a thick blanket and dragged it to the elevator herself. She left it in the basement, hoping that disposing of it would finally end the nightmare. Returning upstairs, she felt a fleeting relief. But when she opened her apartment door, the mirror was back, standing silently in the hallway. Her reflection was gone. And from the depths of the glass, a figure stepped forward. It wore her face, her expression, her very presence, only twisted, alien, and cruel. "You shouldn't have tried to leave," it said, in her voice, but not her tone. Elena screamed. The lights flickered. Glass shattered across the floor, shadows twisted in impossible shapes, crawling up the walls and across the ceiling. When the neighbors arrived the next morning, the apartment was empty. Only the mirror remained. And in its reflection, a woman screamed silently, trapped forever behind the glass, her eyes wide with terror, the echo of her mind lost to the world outside. The city went on unaware, the street noisy and bright, but the apartment waited quietly, patiently for the next resident.